I don't see any questions. I don't see any questions yet. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Week 16 edition, championship level edition of Rotoworld Live. My name is Josh Norris. That's John Daigle. That's Ian Harditz. We're here.
We're here on a Saturday. It is championship week. Three big games today. I'm excited, actually.
Glad you're here, Daigle.
It's been a slow morning, buddy. We ride all night on Fridays. We got to turn around for a show on Saturday now. It's been a long night.
Well, not every day you get to play for a championship, Josh.
Not every day, and some of us get amped for it. Some of us, want to be at work and help people win their titles. Let's do that. Let's answer people's questions for the next, 45, an hour before
Just
kickoff?
sit around and be friends, yeah.
Look, the show is about you. The show is to answer your questions, to help with your lineup conundrum, so get them in on YouTube and on Twitch, and we'll answer them throughout the show.
And even small ones, you better get them in because we're here on Saturday. I'm tired. I've been up all night. We need all the questions we can get. I want to just throw the wrench at me. Give them all to me.
You work hard.
Give them all to me.
All right. We also are going to hit on 4 core matchups, 4 core games of the weekend. But as always, we start off with the blurbs of the week. And there's only one news item to hit on. And everyone out there is wondering. I am wondering because this Minnesota backfield has been highly productive all season long. The Minnesota backfield is hurt. A lot of the pieces are hurt. So now we have Mike Boone, Ian, most likely being inserted as the mainstay, as the lead running back on this team. How are you going to handle Mike Boone today?
I think you treat him like an upside RB2 that could get 20 touches without too much of a problem. I mean, we have not gotten injury reports just yet. Unfortunately, we have these games. You're going to have to take a little bit of a chance. It's not ideal, but Madison, Cook, DMPs all week. I think we're assuming they're going to be out. And in that case, look, McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, Zeke. Those are the only running backs this year with double-digit games with at least 20 touches.
Yeah.
That's now Mike Boone's role. I know a lot of people don't know who Mike Boone is. They don't know he's a preseason superstar. They don't know he's a spark combine freak. The guy can make good with these touches. He's getting that many touches, decent enough matchup. You got to start him.
Plus athlete has done it in several preseasons consecutively, but in this preseason in particular, 24 touches, 154 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Came off the bench cold last week, 56 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
At 4 of 5, Amir Abdullah's touches only came once Boone already punched it in for his second score, and the team went up 39-10. I realize everyone's fearful because they don't know who Mike Boone is. We couldn't pick him out of a one-man lineup. Okay. But he's a freak athlete who is now getting a terrific opportunity in what's sets up as a trap spot, really, for the Packers. So I love the game for the Vikings, and I love the game for Mike Boone.
So the wrench in this equation is that the Vikings play on Monday Night Football.
I thought you were going to say Amir Abdullah.
No. So, one, hopefully you have Alexander Madison on your bench as well, even though, okay, this is how I want to lay this one out, because it's important. What if Dalvin Cook turns it around the next couple of days, or Alexander Madison turns it around the next couple of days? Are you still banking on starting Mike Boone no matter what in your lineup if there is another back of those two that I just mentioned that could be active with him?
No, I think it's all signs are pointing towards Boone. If there was a limited practice out of these guys, if there was the only positivity that has come on Dalvin or Madison's injury status this week has been Mike Zimmer, who is maybe the least trustworthy coach in the entire league when it comes to stuff like this. We've seen them in the past start Dalvin Cook with a specific pitch count when he's playing through a hamstring injury, playing for 10 snaps. They did the same thing with Thielen earlier this year. It's a team we have seen be, risky with their injured players, and they play them anyway sometimes, but they limit it. So I think even if those guys are active, we're still going to see Boone be that RB1.
The latest report I saw wasn't even for Monday. It's that Dalvin Cook, they're holding him out until wild card.
Yeah.
And, since, they can easily just win one game, Rams lose their next game, and then the Vikings sneak in. So I don't think we see Dalvin Cook for the rest of the regular season. Madison, there's still one more practice on Saturday, today, to go. But I would imagine, yes, it is just Boone's backfield.
Before we move on, I want to tell you that Rotoworld is doing something nice for all of you out there. Since it's the season for giving, and that's true for here with us at Rotoworld as well, we've gotten to the holiday spirit and want to give back to our loyal users. So we launched the 12 Days of Roto Holiday Giveaway. Every day for 12 days, we've been promoting a premium product flash giveaway. Products, promo codes, and times have all changed each day. So if you monitor our site and our Twitter handle and you find the window of time that this link and this product is up there, just go, enter your email, and you get the product for free. That's it. That's what the 12 Days of Roto Holiday giveaway is. And so go and find it right now.
Gotta love free stuff.
All right, let's keep going with the Core 4 matchup. First one is Houston Texans at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, this is a intriguing matchup, correct? Because with the Houston Texans, this is an offense that has done quite well. They have pieces, and especially with Will Fuller back, but this Buccaneers defense has turned it around a little bit in recent weeks. Is this enough for us to be worried about this Buccaneers defense with Deshaun Watson, Nuke Hopkins, Will Fuller and company?
I don't think even a little bit.
Okay.
Like, look.
Like the optimism.
They have played better. I mean, across the board, their stats have been better. But they've played the Lions, the Jaguars, the Falcons. They gave up 35 points to the Colts, 34 points to the Saints since week 11. I mean, look, they have played better in stretches. Like, I'm not taking that away from them. But come on. We talked about it. There's 3 to 5 defenses in the league that truly matter. I am not putting the Buccaneers anywhere near that. The one concern is that, look, all year the Buccaneers have done a great job selling out against the run. Carlos Hyde is active, but he popped up with that ankle injury on the report. That's the one guy that I'm, considering the matchup with and, probably not forcing in my lineup if possible.
Yeah, we haven't started running backs against the Bucs all year, so I wouldn't imagine you start now. It's just a super tough matchup for Hyde. Duke Johnson will still be likely in a limited role behind Hyde, but you still want to attack this secondary anyhow. DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, Kenny Stills to a lesser extent, because your guess is as good as mine as what Kenny Stills will do production-wise, but he's on the field and he's been more effective as their primary slot receiver with Kiki QT healthy scratch like he was today. So yeah, I don't worry about the Bucs defense whatsoever.
Quietest 1,000-yard season we've seen in quite some time from Carlos Hyde.
Yeah.
Okay, switching on over to the Bucs offense. Look, Mike Evans got people to their fantasy championships. Chris Godwin got people to their fantasy championships. Now neither are going to be on the field. We've seen Jameis Winston throw for over 450 yards in multiple games. Now he's throwing to Rashad Perryman. I know someone's starting Justin Watson against me in matchups. How confident are you in these pass-catching pieces with Jameis Winston, who has stretches of really, really quality play?
I'm not confident at all. This is Jameis Winston. And everyone, we've seen Jameis do this. He looks awesome for stretches, and then he has a Jameis game. He's like Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was funny when they were on the same team because they do the same stuff. They are awesome until they're not. And when they're not, it is really bad. And I understand that I'm not afraid of this Houston secondary or anything, but just these last few weeks, I mean, Jameis, absolutely killed the Colts and Lions. I think the Texans, they're a bad defense, but it's a much better team. And I don't think we're going to see, these defenses kind of lie down and just let them walk over like we saw in these past weeks. Now we're not giving enough, we're not giving enough credit to the fact that Godwin and Evans are gone.
Yeah.
Like, these are 2 very elite wide receivers, awesome, and you're just taking them out of the offense. Like that, we shouldn't just assume Jameis will keep throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns every single week.
Yeah, I still think Perryman and Watson are effective. It's more or less that I'm not so much worried about Jameis. I'm worried about who it trickles down to, really. Because obviously we can't pin it on 3 touchdowns on Perryman on 6 targets again. It's very possible Perryman could go over 100 yards and a touchdown, but we are expecting multiple tight end sets. They only have 3 tight ends active, and one of them was only promoted on Thursday as a first-year Cody McElroy. So it's likely going to be a lot of O.J. Howard and Cam Brate. And honestly, Jameis Winston's been great from 12 personnel, 9.7 yards per attempt on the year from 12 personnel. So I like it, but given the fact that the Texans have also allowed the most receptions to running backs, maybe we also see Ronald Jones. Maybe we see Dare a little more. Like, the personnel is questionable for who actually produces in this spot.
Let's go now to the viewer questions. That's why they're tuning in. Let's go first to Pandemonium. Pick 2 of these. There's a lot of names here. DJ Moore, Mike Boone, Stephon Diggs, or Devon Singletary. This is half-point PPR. He or she thanks us all for our help this season. You're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Look, of that group, there's some really good options. We've seen DJ Moore have an outstanding season despite being attached to Kyle Allen. Mike Boone, we talked about at the start of the show. Stephon Diggs and Devon Singletary. Ian, pick one of those. and we'll give Daigle the other one.
I go with Booney. I think his
Booney.
There's just
On a nickname basis already.
the touch floor is just too high.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Boone for me as well. It would normally be DJ Moore, but at least from Kyle Allen.
You got to pick two.
Okay. Well, DJ Moore and Mike Boone then.
Okay. I'm a little nervous about DJ Moore.
I don't think I am.
The Will Grier factor is not a fun one, I don't think.
The way, look, DJ, he gets those slants. Like that's
He gets easy passes.
It's underneath. So that's why I feel a little better about it. Grier, in the preseason, like he was throwing deep balls. I think it was like an 18% rate. He just wasn't doing it accurately at all. No. So I think it could be a very similar experience to Kyle Allen.
He had the hardest velocity coming out of college. So hopefully that means just drilling slants to DJ Moore, especially with Curtis Samuel popping up on the injury report. I don't know. I think DJ Moore, if his talent can buck Kyle Allen's presence, like why can't it do the same with Will Grier?
This one's Jared 3166, full point PPR. Michael Gallup or Raheem Mostert. We're going to talk about that San Francisco 49ers game in a little bit, but Michael Gallup is one where he's been productive this season. When Dak Prescott throws down the field, he's throwing it to Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, two of the better vertical receivers in the NFL. But how much can you trust him off of last week?
Not much.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're getting the report how Dak literally told Gallup, hey, we're doing an RPO here. I am not running the play. I am handing the ball off. His shoulder's not right. I don't think we're giving enough. Like, we're just taking Jerry Jones and all these people at their word that, yeah, Dak's fine. Like, when have we ever done that? It's almost never been correct. So, no, I think a lot of these decisions, if you have like a wide receiver 2 and a running back 2, I'm just going to take the RB2.
I hear you.
Like, just give me those extra touches.
Give me the floor.
Maybe in another week, like if Dak was fully healthy, but the AC joint injury brings up enough questions to where you should just take the 15 touches you're going to get.
Yep.
Mike Sky, good morning, stuck on one of these decisions. Devontae Parker, Brashad Perryman, or Adam Thielen. I think you can kind of count out Adam Thielen of this equation.
It's not even close from Devontae Parker, right? Like, Devontae Parker's a top 7 option this week.
Yeah, that's where I was
He's a
going
stud.
in this conversation.
It's definitely Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
Facing the Cincinnati, taking the Cincinnati defense with a quarterback who matches up perfectly with you, Devontae Parker's the right move in there. Okay,
I'm excited for that game, by the way.
I am ball 1, 2, 3. Ryan Tannehill or Dak Prescott. We just mentioned Dak Prescott. We're going to talk about Ryan Tannehill as well. This is one where Ryan Tannehill's gotten you here. Do you keep rolling with him?
Previously, if it were not for the injury, I would have said Dak. It's a great spot in a must-win game. But again, it brings up enough questions when you're nitpicking. Why even risk the half-point difference you'll probably get at the end of the day? Just start Tannehill.
No, I'm with you. If volume, we know volume's a concern for Tannehill, and now it also is for Dak.
Yeah.
Tannehill is the one that's not injured.
Okay, let's rattle off some Mike Boone questions. Reese Fletcher, Miles Sanders, or Mike Boone in half-point PPR?
Assuming Jordan Howard gets ruled out today, which they've done the last couple of weeks.
It's like 6 weeks.
They list him questionable, they rule him out on Saturday. Assuming
still
that
hasn't been
happens,
clear for contact.
I would go Miles Sanders. They don't need to make this decision until tomorrow.
You go Miles Sanders over Boone?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd go Boone. I'd still go Boone.
I think their touch floors are very similar, and we've seen Miles do it.
This is very true. I'm still going Boone.
All right, Bossman770, Mostert, Mike Boone, or Todd Gurley. Sit one of those names, half-point PPR. I think that this is why the Rams did what they did early in the season with Todd Gurley and during OTAs as well, like to ride him in these spots that are pivotal. However, it's a super difficult matchup against a 49ers defense that Jared Goff only threw for 78 yards against last time. So I don't know how much confidence I have in someone like Todd Gurley this week.
This version is very banged up, though. D Ford's out. They had Quan Alexander that first time around. Even Jaquiski Tart. I might mess up his first name, but multiple starters. I know they're getting Sherman and Quan Williams back, so I'm not feeling too good about Goff. But Gurley, he's the RB12 on the season. Through all these ups and downs, like Gurley has still usually produced and usually with rushing touchdowns.
You were not playing Gurley for the production, honestly. Anyways, like you're playing because how many running backs are going to be out there every single snap? They were down 4 scores and they were still giving him the ball in the fourth quarter. Like they don't care anymore. They're done. So they're just going to throw him out there every single snap.
So I think we said
the usage-wise. I would start Gurley over Mostert, yes.
And then Boone over Mostert, too?
I would start Boone over Gurley and Mostert.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. Gurley and Boone out of that group.
One from the control room, by the way.
There we go.
This is why they do this. They get to just throw in their questions when they want to. Matt Breida, Phillip Lindsay, or Carlos Hyde. I think we can throw out Matt Breida in that equation because
he's in the Scott Fish Bowl today, though, so let's all cross our fingers.
Well, I mean, not saying he can't do well,
no,
but he's of the 3, he's getting probably the least amount of volume.
Agree.
I'm going to go Phillip Lindsay against this Detroit Lions defense that is absolutely atrocious, that's really, really bad bad personnel, bad coaching, and the Broncos are 6.5-point home favorites here.
Royce Freeman popped up last week, but it was purely game script. Like, they couldn't do anything in the snow against Kansas City's vastly underrated secondary. This is Phillip Lindsay's backfield.
That whole game was just weird. Lindsay had at least 14 touches every single, 4 straight weeks before that after their bye. So, yeah.
Phillip Lindsay is an amazing play today.
Let's go one more Mike Boone question, then we'll move on. OSAG, Mike Boone, Alvin Kamara, full-point PPR. We've made it here in Week 16, ladies and gentlemen. That's the type of question we need.
To be fair, I was listing out running backs. I would start over Boone last night, and I did stop and at least think about Kamara. I'm taking Kamara. You just take his floor, though.
Yes.
Take his floor. He's not going to score a touchdown for the rest of his life, but you got to take his floor.
Do you really want to be sitting here Tuesday morning and you're like, wow, I lost my fantasy championship because I started Mike Boone over Alvin freaking Kamara?
But I think it's a reasonable question to ask.
I do too. I really do too. It makes you think about it.
It is reasonable.
Okay.
I think it's pretty reasonable.
I mean, Kamara's only scored 2 touchdowns this season. Mike Boone had 2 touchdowns last week.
But we're also, all right, assuming Cook and Madison are ruled out today, and even if we know for sure that, that's still a question we have, that Kamara has none of these questions kind of attached to him. Come on, Kamara catches 8 passes a game almost.
Okay, let's move on. Next Core 4 matchup, LA Rams versus San Francisco 49ers. Fun game here. As I mentioned, last time these two teams played, the 49ers won just 20-7. However, this game has a 45 total, with the 49ers favored by 6. Okay, let's first look at the Rams offense because there have been some positives as of late despite going through a stretch of really negative play. I mentioned Jared Goff just throwing for 78 yards last time. What do you expect from the Rams offense today against, as Ian mentioned, a banged-up 49ers defense?
Not much. It's just super tough, especially because Gerald Everett's now back healthy, which moves Tyler Higbee down a few hairs, down a few pegs among his position. So you're getting Gurley's touches. Robert Woods is going to be out there every single snap. But unless game script gets crazily out of hand, you can't really depend on Cooper Kupp, who didn't even catch a pass until the third quarter against the Cowboys. You can't depend on Higbee that much anymore. It's just a really rough spot you shouldn't want to play many people in.
Yeah, get off of Higbee if you can here. I mean, even before we knew Everett was back, I was approaching him as more of, you're not starting this guy over Waller, Andrews, these true number 1 pass game targets. Like Higbee, he's still their number 3 at best. That's putting him above Brandon Cooks, which is ridiculous, but that's just how it's been. Last week, Robert Woods played 100% snaps, Kupp was at 92, and then Cooks was the one that was losing snaps to Reynolds. So I'm fine going back to Cooper Kupp here, and I think Robert Woods, you keep him in starting lineups too.
I arguably would have still started Higbee given his every down usage over guys like Andrews and Waller previously, but Everett's presence is enough to where I back him up and I draw the line in front of Jacob Hollister. Really.
It definitely cements it, for sure.
So you're starting Jared Cook over Tyler Higbee?
Yes.
That's an important question for me.
I know. It's where the line's drawn. It's a super tough one.
All right, let's go to the 49ers side of this one. Outside of George Kittle, last week, none of these receivers did absolutely anything. Emmanuel Sanders saw a lot of snaps. Deebo Samuel saw a lot of snaps. Ian, are you confident in playing either one of those names?
No. Maybe. I think Deebo, gun to my head, but starting in a season long for a championship, no. I prefer to start someone else. I think Raheem Mostert's the only other guy in this offense you can start with any sort of confidence. I mean, these last 2 weeks, since they've gotten Matt Breida back, it's been Mostert 60% snaps, 14 combined carries and targets per game. The guy has been a top 8 running back all season, yards per carry, elusive rating, breakaway rate. It reminds me of Austin Eckler, where you have just this very efficient back, and when he's getting the touches, you just ride that. So, Coleman, Breida, there's not just completely relegated the bench. There's still going to be a little bit involved, but if you're getting 12 to 15 touches inside this 49ers offense, that's plenty.
Totally agree. Mostert is who you like in this 49ers offense. George Kittle, obviously, you're starting him every year anyways. But if I had to choose one, it'd be Samuel. You do the wide receiver cornerbacks chart. Jalen Ramsey, if he does shadow anyone, we don't know if he's going to, would it be the Sanders in the slot or would it be on the outside Deebo Samuel?
Manning hasn't even been playing that much. It's actually Kendrick Bourne's been their slot guy. So if anyone gets the Ramsey shadow coverage, I think it'll be Emmanuel Sanders. That's just how opponents have treated Emmanuel Sanders as the number 1.
And remember, Troy Hill, the Rams' number 2 corner, is out. Darius Williams, they're onto their 4th corner now. And he's only seen 9 throws his way, but 8 have gone for catches for 156 yards and a touchdown. So that would be Deebo Samuel, who is opposite him today.
Let's test that Raheem Mostert confidence. This comes from Monolith. Raheem Mostert or Marlon Mack in the flex? I think you have to lean Marlon Mack because he's facing that awful Carolina Panthers defense, and he's probably going to see at least 17 touches.
If you have a running back facing the Panthers or the Jaguars, you start that running back.
All right, let's keep answering people's questions. This one is from Dazed and Confused. Terry McLaurin or Jamison Crowder in full point PPR flex. We've seen Terry McLaurin maybe only get 4 targets a game, but have 2 massive plays that hit value. Meanwhile, Jamison Crowder, it's like some weeks you can count on him, but then other weeks he might just have 3 catches for 19 yards. It's a difficult one to predict here.
I think it's McLaurin pretty easy. You got your clear-cut number 1 and a much better matchup.
I agree. I think it's McLaurin.
All right, here's another one from Nasser. Rashad Perryman, T.Y. Hilton, Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen. Sit one of those names.
Perryman.
You're sitting Perryman over T.Y., who seems like he's not playing at full capacity, and you're sitting him over Adam Thielen as well, who's not playing at full capacity.
Perryman has 14 career games with at least 5 targets. He has finished with fewer than 50 yards and no scores in 9 of those games. And it's not like he's just going off.
I like when Ian takes a stance. He takes a stance.
There's just not a chance I can.
It's Rashad Perryman.
It's T.Y. Hilton. It's the 2019 version of T.Y. Hilton.
He had at least 9 targets last week, not 6.
I know, but
Perryman, and his best week of the season by far, was still the 4th most targeted player on the field.
T.Y. Hilton mustered through in a must-win spot, and then they came out. I understand they came out and said they're going to play him more now that they've been eliminated from the playoffs as a whole. Jacoby Brissett post ACL injury has not been the same player whatsoever. It's just I cannot trust T.Y. Hilton, even if it's a 100-yard game and 2 touchdowns. I'd rather miss out on it. I'd just rather avoid it altogether.
I kind of agree with Daigle here. Let's go to Jay Heffron. Start 2 of these. There's a lot of names. Full point PPR. Devon Singletary, John Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Mike Boone, Greg Ward, Le'Veon Bell. I'll make it easy on y'all. You're starting Mike Boone
For sure.
of that group. So there's one name. And if I had to lead on another, it'd probably be Devon Singletary because we've seen the Patriots give up some rushing yards in recent weeks. And if we say that Stephon Gilmore, who might have a little bit of difficulty against John Brown, right? But I think really in order for this team to be successful and what's really changed the offense to be more consistent, it's Devon Singletary running the ball.
To me, it's closer between Singletary and Bell because I just think there's still, Le'Veon revenge game. Got a little spot going on there. But the only Singletary, very few backfields in the entire league have a defined goal line back. But that is how it is in Buffalo. Singletary has 3 carries inside the 10-yard line this year. Josh Allen and Frank Gore have 28. It is not even close. They're already going to struggle to get those points. Singletary, he's going to have 80 or 90 scoreless yards and look pretty good doing it. So who are the other options?
I mean, you had T.Y. Hilton, you had John Brown, you had Greg Ward.
I would go Le'Veon Bell, honestly.
Okay. Daigle, this one's for you. Let's go with Mr. Crackle. Rashad Perryman or Robert Woods, half-point PPR.
It's still Woods for me. He's going to be out there every single snap, like he was against the Cowboys. That game was a letdown for all involved. But given that we've had a week for Jared Goff to rest his thumb injury, at the very least, Woods is the only Rams receiver I'm trusting.
Quickly to you, Ian, before we move on. Jay Thibb, Jameis Winston or Matt Ryan in the championship? He has both. Jameis, we are a little nervous he's going to throw for less than 300 yards today.
I thought you were going to say a pick. I was like, it doesn't matter.
Well, that does not matter. They might win if he throws a pick in that first drive.
Yeah, I think I'd still go Jameis. Who's Matt? Matt Ryan's feeding Julio the ball, and that's pretty much it. I'm
slightly concerned about the Falcons.
Really?
we don't discuss them calling that game last week their Super Bowl and upsetting the 49ers, and now how do you get up for the Jaguars?
They're 7-point favorites
whose defensive line is better than your O-line, and that you still don't have Calvin Ridley. I'm kind of worried about a letdown spot there.
Or at the very least, they just can actually run the ball for once. This is what happened when they played the Panthers. They finally found a defense they can run the ball on, so they're going to do that.
One more. Rampant Pikachu, Devon Singletary or DeAndre Washington in standard. So much conversation has been around Mike Boone, where DeAndre Washington might see similar workload. However, they just put Trent Brown on IR. We've seen Jalen Richard also get 9 touches last week. But he might see more volume than Devon Singletary here.
I think it's Washington, definitely.
Yep.
It's sad, but they're almost treating Washington as more of a independent game script back than they do Josh Jacobs. He played 63% snaps when Jacobs was out.
21 touches in that game, yep.
And it was a game they were fell behind by multiple scores. I mean, I thought Jalen Richard could even be just a lead back period, but they didn't even really use him in the comeback mode. So.
He got 2 of their 3 carries inside the 10 in that game. That would be the concern, is that Jalen Richard would come in as your third down option when you're down by multiple scores, but DeAndre Washington was used in that way in that last start for Jacobs. And we expect them to be in the same situation given Phillip Rivers' last home game, the Chargers' last home game, Phillip Rivers possibly second to last game in a Chargers uniform. Like, it's going to be a send-off, I would imagine, in Los Angeles.
JL 1080 asked about A.J. Brown, so I want me to go to our next Core 4 matchup because this is the New Orleans Saints at the Tennessee Titans. A total of 51 in this game. Spread of 3. It started at -1. Now it's up to -3. All right, let's start on the Saints side. We saw Drew Brees just throw the football around last week. I mean, just demolish the Colts defense. Now we get Drew Brees outdoors, a place he's only played for like a game and a half this season. So, Ian, is there any effect here you expect for Drew Brees throwing the ball in the Saints' offense overall outside?
No, just because of the matchup.
I'm overthinking it, is what you're saying.
Right. I don't want to just bench Breeze and like not bank on these guys performing well, literally just because they're outdoors. I've seen the splits, I get it, but they're facing a Titans defense. Adoree Jackson's out. Malcolm Butler's been on IR for like a month now. I mean, they're 22nd in pass DVOA. They're 5th against the run, and we talked about this all year. If you're a defense that is good against the run and you're bad against the pass, you're a bad defense, and that's what the Titans are, especially when they're banged up right now. So, no, I'm not concerned about just him playing outdoors.
Being outdoors at the very least is enough for me to knock him down behind Tannehill and Jameis Winston, whereas I had him over those guys in great spots last week.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so it downgrades it a little bit. And more importantly, like, we're not concerned about Michael Thomas, and to a certain extent, we're not worried about Alvin Kamara because at least his floor is still high. Breeze could still tank in those situations, though. However, I still think he's like quarterback 8 on the week. So,
all right, let's go over to the Tennessee side. Daigle, Tannehill got you here. A.J. Brown got you here. Do you continue to ride that wave? I mean, it was the quarterback 4 and the wide receiver 1 over the last 4 weeks. But now they get a Saints defense. Yeah, we've talked about it. Sheldon Rankins out. Marcus Davenport out. Obviously, that second quarterback spot, maybe Janoris Jenkins steps in now, but they've gotten picked on with Eli Apple in recent weeks. So do you continue to ride these players who we had no thought of in week 1, and now in week 16, we want them to win us our fantasy championship?
A.J. Brown, you do for sure. Last week was very encouraging, 31% target share, when all we did all week long was discuss his volume issues. So assuming he is now truly the number 1 wideout and leaned on heavily in that offense, you just have to keep going back to A.J. Brown. There's no reason to bench him now.
Yeah, since their week 11 bye, they finally, he was playing like 50-60% snaps earlier in the season. It didn't make any sense, but he's finally out there. Every down player, 13 targets last week. They are clearly featuring him as number 1. Him and Kenny Stills are the only rookie players with 50 targets since '92, averaging over 12 yards per target. I mean, it's ridiculous is how good he has been. Absolutely keep riding it.
And Derrick Henry was full practice on Friday, stuffed at the goal line twice in that last matchup. So perhaps we're not even worried at all about him. If we're even worried now, if he runs one of those in.
Let's answer one of those Ryan Tannehill questions. This comes from not the fake Mr. Bentz. Wonderful. Ryan Tannehill or Kyler Murray? Look, Kyler Murray has the Seattle Seahawks. They're 9.5-point road dogs here.
Yeah.
Clowney out.
That's a difficult.
Clowney out, Diggs out.
I mean, it's a difficult matchup. Anytime, do you ever want to play a quarterback on the road as 9.5-point road dogs? Not really. Like, that's not the formula we really want.
My answer is Tannehill, but I still like Kyler a lot.
Yeah. Because he can elevate everyone around him, but I mean, it's still a tough match.
And Christian Kirk popping up as a game-time decision is worrisome because that would literally tank them. We saw that offense without Kirk earlier this year. It was not pretty.
There's just no one to throw to if that happens, Tannehill.
Balling Bro, Mike Boone, or Austin Eckler in standard?
Eckler was one of the few I had listed over Boone, so it is Eckler.
Standard, though.
It's standard.
Standard, Mike Boone.
Yeah, I go Boone. Yeah, you're playing Eckler for his catches, and if you're not getting those, then that's tough.
Purple Crane asks, who sits of these? I guess just one. Devontae Parker, Allen Robinson, or DJ Moore? That's half-point PPR.
You're playing Parker. Just funny to say.
I think you're starting A-Rob over DJ Moore, at least I am.
Yeah, I agree with both those.
Okay. Hit Mob, Kirk Cousins, or Ryan Fitzpatrick? Daigle, that's to you.
Who is it?
Kirk Cousins or Ryan Fitzpatrick. You're playing Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's 4.5-point favorites at home here.
Yeah, you're playing Kirk Cousins.
Against like a Packers defense that has some defensive talent, but as a whole, they're not good. Like their corner pieces just allow big plays like game after game.
That's why I kind of like Thielen, and like they could very well throw the ball more than they usually do because they don't have Cook or Madison.
It is Dolphins leading rusher Ryan Fitzpatrick, though, so be careful how you talk about him.
Another control room question. Give it to me. DK Metcalf or Deebo Samuel?
Yeah, DK Metcalf is in like an eruption spot this week.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Even with PP on him?
Yeah, I love DK Metcalf this week.
Really?
I'm
going Deebo.
I would go Metcalf actually, but
You think it's closer than
it's definitely
I think
close.
it is, yeah.
I understand Peterson has not been the same cornerback this year. With that said, he's coming on. He played much better against OBJ, and the guys he was losing to were like Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas, just these out of this world route runners. Like, that's not DK Metcalf.
Right.
Peterson actually has the size and speed to be a nuisance for him. Now, does he even shadow him? That's the question. So it might not even happen. But yeah, I go Metcalf, but I think it's much closer.
This is a flex question. Dirter138, Devon Singletary or T.Y. Hilton?
We know my thoughts. I'm basically the T.Y. Hilton pessimist today. He's the Brashad Perryman pessimist today.
Well, we have a lot of T.Y. Hilton and Brashad Perryman
It's fun
questions.
because I don't want to take part in T.Y. Hilton, whatever he's going to do. I don't want it. It's just like why would you stress yourself out and start him when you don't know what's going to happen?
And luckily, this is a player in Devon Singletary who should at least see 12 touches in this game.
Yeah. I'd say over for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Tower and fall. DeAndre Washington, Raheem Mostert, Devon Singletary, and Mike Boone. Sit one of those names. Gosh, of that group,
I think it's Singletary.
Singletary.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. Even though I think Devon Singletary can have a solid day, it's not going to be spectacular. Like, I would be surprised if he gets 15 points today because, I mean, he'd have to obviously get a touchdown to reach
It's
that
a
mark.
brutal matchup, and he
He's
has
not gonna
more
get the yards.
competition in his backfield than any of those other guys.
Right. No, I agree. Even though, like Raheem Mostert, he is certainly going to see the most touches in that backfield, but we could easily see Matt Breida have the big play. We could easily see Tevin Coleman have the big play in that game as well.
That's true. I just think recently, and Shanahan's backed this up, like said that Mostert's been playing well enough that he's earned that.
I totally agree, but then you watched the game just like I did. I believe Tevin Coleman in that revenge game saw touches in the first drive.
Yeah, no, I think Coleman started.
So, like, we can listen to what Kyle says, and then he might do something different immediately
that's
after
true,
drive
that's
number
true.
one. But I agree with you. I think Devon Singletary of that.
Yeah, I
foursome you
still
said.
have confidence. Like at the end of the day, it's still Mostert leading in snaps and touches for sure. Someone could outproduce him maybe. I don't think so. But with Singletary, at least when all of them are good options, it's just the toughest matchup. Get rid of them.
Here's an interesting one. This is from a Twitch Prime subscriber. Hey, PJ. His opponent is playing Jameis Winston, so this is a little bit of strategy here. How much do you want to hedge and play Brashad Perryman in that situation? Because his other player, who I think is a must start, is A.J. Brown. Like, you have to start A.J. Brown in that circumstance.
Has there
Not even close.
It's not even close. Has there been any studies on like if it's actually logical to hedge against your opponent?
Well, I had someone earlier ask that, just bypass them, sorry about that. Ask if he should start Justin Watson and Brashad Perryman because his opponent has Jameis Winston. So, like, you think all of the passes are going to funnel to both those players. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. We could see O.J. Howard have an eruption spot today.
Cam Brake scored 2 touchdowns with ease.
Easily.
Last week, O.J. Howard, 8 targets. Cam Brate, 7. Godwin, 7. Again,
Right.
like, Perryman and Watson were still kind of not even in the top 3 factors. I know it worked out for Perryman just fine last week, but it's not this guy we can just assume is going to get 10-plus targets. Like, that's the whole issue.
And I think there's a difference between starting people like Brashad Perryman and Justin Watson and to block your opponent's quarterback versus starting people like, I don't know, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf to block
Right.
like Russell
Yeah.
Wilson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know either way. Maybe there is some strategy to it. I just would have a blanket statement that it doesn't matter. Like, don't even worry about blocking your
if it's
opponent.
real close, I could get it, but if we're talking Perryman versus A.J. Brown, like, no, just
Sit one of these, and I know which one it's going to be. Paco Jenkins, A.J. Brown, Kenyon Drake, Brashad Perryman. You're sitting Brashad Perryman.
A.J. Brown, Kenyon Drake, Brashad. Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I could see Kenyon Drake. Actually, I couldn't see Kenyon Drake having a rough day. I mean, they are giving him 75%
this
of
is
work.
why I'm mad about Perryman. He's
being elevated.
a wide receiver like 25 to 30 or something should be your range, and we're grouping him in with
Top 15 options.
exactly.
Yeah.
I hear you.
20 touch options.
I'm here for you.
More importantly, We're grouping in a 6-target option with 20 touch options.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a fair one for Brashad Perriman. Okay, I know
I
we
think,
talked about
I think
him
there are a
before.
lot of fair wide receiver splits, but not running backs.
Brian B. Matthews, Brashad Perriman, or Cooper Kupp as his wide receiver 2. Because Cooper Kupp, there were weeks where he was a legitimate top 12 wide receiver.
Yep.
Then he went weeks with doing absolutely nothing, with kind of this changed mindset of what the Rams go into games with.
He's probably been an afterthought longer than he was a staple now.
So,
He
I mean,
hasn't
do you have
done
more
anything since
confidence
London.
in Brashad Perriman than you do Cooper Kupp right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Ian, this is the real test.
He's an out snap
I'm
Kupp.
still going Cooper, man.
Are you really?
We saw the snaps were super freaking concerning 2 weeks ago, but he's back up to the full-time role. They are getting Quan Williams back, like that'll help, and Sherman as well. But it's still a defense that's very far less than 100%. And yeah, I'm taking Kupp.
Okay, no sock. You make it so hard, all of you out there. I need to say this before we head out
Go.
in about 20 minutes.
Take your moment.
Look, you need to make your usernames easier or just more PG. Because what I have to do, the work I have to do on the fly here to make sure I'm not saying something I shouldn't be saying, it's difficult. It's a tough job we have over here. All right, no sock. I'm back and forth on John Brown. Options would be Justin Watson and Jacob Hollister. John Brown facing off almost certainly against Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore, maybe Defensive Player of the Year. John Brown sees some volume, but I think in order for John Brown to hit value over, but those options are so bad. But he has to hit a long touchdown, and Josh Allen just can't throw long bombs.
That's the problem. Like, one, we need John Brown to win versus Gilmore on a play, which is going to be hard. He can do it, but he's got to win, and then he needs his quarterback to complete that pass, which we've seen.
And be accurate with it.
But out of that group, I still think I would probably ride with Smokey. Over, I mean, what did Watson have last week? Like 2 targets, 2-3 targets?
Yeah, he's playing behind Scotty Miller.
Scotty
That's
Miller,
why
yeah.
he started as the number 4 receiver. I would go John Brown's talent. And remember, in this last matchup, he did see 11 targets. He didn't top 70 yards receiving, but it still split the matchup with Gilmore. So I just take Brown.
A sneaky guy in that match, but I haven't heard anyone on that.
Cole Beasley?
Yes.
Yeah.
13 targets last time they played, and he was getting shadowed by Jonathan Jones, who's now out with a groin injury. So
I agree.
That's the spot to attack.
Playing him against J.J. Zacharyson in the Rotoworld and Friends League final.
You're one up on JJ right now.
All right, let's go to the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. This is our final Core 4 matchup of the day. Dallas on the road, 2.5-point favorites. This game decides the NFC East. It's a 46.5 total. Let's start off in the Cowboys' end. They put up a boatload of points last week, Ian, but that was without Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup doing basically anything. I think both just had 1 catch. Does that change this week? And as we've mentioned at the top of the show, not enough attention is being paid to Dak Prescott's shoulder right now.
Dak threw 23 passes last week, and yeah, he didn't need to throw more, and that's great, but that's how they're going to approach this game. If they don't need Dak to throw, he's not going to throw because he's got the shoulder, he's got the hairline fracture in his right index finger that the coaches neither confirm nor deny. Like, there's so many weird red flags going on with Dak. He wasn't even taking first-team snaps this week. So, I mean, I'm starting Cooper and Gallup in leagues, but if it's a close question, like, no, I'm probably going with the other guy. I don't think this is the smash spot against a bad Eagles secondary that we should, more weeks than not give them credit for.
I'm starting Cooper for sure. Gallup, if the AC joint injury is concerning, which it is, then Gallup is the big question mark there. Plus, remember, Jim Schwartz has had 0 response for Ezekiel Elliott in the games they've played against one another. 22 carries, 27 carries, 19, 28, and 22 in 5 career games versus Schwartz. So I would imagine they just try to ride Ezekiel Elliott anyhow, even more so if this injury is that impactful.
Not Josh Norris has a question, actually, since we're talking about Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup, Christian Kirk, Julian Edelman, sit one of those names.
Christian Kirk, Julian. So Christian Kirk's a game time decision.
Julian Edelman barely played last week and was hurt the entire time.
Trust me, yeah.
I think it's Kirk.
I would think it's Michael Gallup if Christian Kirk's active.
Okay. There it is.
Just barely, and that's me accepting the floor of Kirk.
All right. Next side of this equation is the Philadelphia side. We've seen some unexpected names pop up as players that have really produced for the Eagles this season. Miles Sanders being one of those, Dallas Goedert being one of those, Greg Ward being one of those. Can any of them do that against this Dallas Cowboys defense? tomorrow, I should say.
Just some talented former AAF players doing their thing. I think Dallas Goedert out of this kind of group is the guy that you can truly give like low-end tight end one consideration. He's playing a full-time role. Like it's not. Ertz is their number one receiver, that's fine, but Goddard might be their number two receiver at this point. I mean, last week played 84% snaps, and Ertz is getting fed, but Goddard 6+ targets in every single game since the Eagles' Week 10 bye. I mean, he's had some good success against the Cowboys previously. Whether that's his first name being them, I don't know, but I think you can treat Goddard as a low-end tight end one again, and then even if Jordan Howard miraculously gets cleared, I don't know how much we can expect from him. I think Miles Sanders.
He's the most explosive player on this Eagles team right now, and you can tell that they're like craving that explosion because they're even getting Boston Scott involved in some of these plays. And I think Miles Sanders could easily see 15 touches in this game.
Yeah, and remember, he's been doing this with Boston Scott involved the past 2 weeks. Greg Ward's the one that I know we've received a lot of questions about Greg Ward, but all his production came on that final drive, basically. So for me, he was just like a flex option, wide receiver 4 or 5 to begin with the whole time anyways.
Agreed.
All right, let's keep answering people's questions for the remainder of the show. This is from AJ Austin Eckler or Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry is facing the Baltimore Ravens. A very difficult matchup because they probably the best secondary in the NFL. The Browns are playing like absolute dog doo-doo. So do you still go with Austin Eckler over him?
Eckler over who, sorry?
Jarvis Landry. Daigle?
I do, yeah. And then also Jarvis Landry, like what kind of surgery is he supposed to get this offseason now?
Hip.
Hip? Yeah.
He's been limited kind of throughout the season.
Yeah. I'm going Eckler.
Yeah, I'll go Eckler.
It's a game that the Ravens have to put their foot on the throat of the Browns because whether the Patriots lose or not, the Ravens have to at least tie to clinch the number 1 overall seed still. They have something to play for, and it's probably revenge in mind after the Browns took it to them in one of their worst defensive efforts of the year the last time they played this year.
It seems to be more like a Melvin Gordon game, but that could easily just turn to Eckler game.
Yeah.
So.
Your boy Danzo. Hey, Ian. Helicopter and Mike Boone this week?
No. Helicopters are Sunday main slate only. So come on, man.
What? There was something though last night that
there was a lion that didn't really.
It was
look
not
like a lion.
It looked like it looked like a Mario level.
On the computer, it looks like a gorgeous lion. That it's predicting Rashad Perryman 3 catches, 26 yards, and no touchdowns.
Excessive.
All right. Chevy Man, we've seen Sony Michel last week have 103 yards. That was the most yards he's had in a game since week 6. So Chevy Man asks, Sony Michel or Kareem Hunt in full point PPR?
I go Kareem Hunt. He's been legit a borderline
Even
RB1.
against the Ravens.
Yes, that's best case. They're going to get behind and have to throw the ball. And it's to Kareem Hunt.
So the Ravens did open up a 7-point favorites, have since been bet up to double digits, which would help Kareem Hunt. Yes, the game script would help Kareem Hunt. Sony Michel, it does make for a good Sony Michel matchup, but Rex Burkhead being slightly more involved last week and possibly healthy now worries me.
The Patriots being involved in a game with a 30.5 total really speaks to their season this year. Offensively,
30
and
38.5.
Okay, I just said 30.
Yeah, and Julian Edelman also is extremely banged up.
I'm so nervous.
He was limping at practice. Had his snap scaled back to an 11-week low last week. It's concerning.
Ian, this question is only for you. Al Pari, Carlos Hyde or Duke Johnson, half-point PPR.
Free Duke. I do think it could be Duke this week. I don't want to start either of those guys, really. But just in this matchup, yeah, go with Duke.
Here's an interesting one. We've seen Aaron Jones split snaps a lot.
All season, yeah.
But even when he's gotten a lot of volume, a good amount of volume, and the small amount of volume, he's producing at a high level. I would think other than Devontae Adams, he's the most consistent member of that Packers offense. So HTX asks Aaron Jones with that split volume or Mike Boone in full point PPR. Daigle?
That's the one I was struggling with, and I think it's still Mike Boone.
Really?
That's so tough.
I think it's really close.
I think it's definitely Aaron.
Definitely Aaron, okay.
Yeah, the touches are close, but we just know what Aaron Jones can do with those touches.
Yeah.
That's
the thing. I don't think the touches are actually going to be close. I think Mike Boone's going to have 18-plus touches.
Yeah.
And it's just a much better matchup that sets up so well for the Vikings offense.
Whose squad? Start 2 of these names, so sit 1. Kenny Golladay, Rashad Perryman, Devontae Parker. Well, we're starting Devontae Parker, so that's an easy one.
Starting Golladay and get Perryman on your freaking bench.
Let's ask one more question before we wrap up for the season. Here we go. Prince of Bannon, full point PPR. Odell Beckham, We have to end with an Odell Beckham question. Odell Beckham, Terry McLaurin, or Michael Gallup? Daigle?
Beckham, Terry McLaurin, Michael Gallup. Oh man. Oh man. Terry
I
McLaurin,
don't think we can start Odell.
start 1
Yeah,
or 2.
start 1.
Oh, McLaurin. That's easy then.
I don't think we can start Odell.
You can't. Well, I think it's close between Beckham and Gallup, but McLaurin I think is higher than both.
We're talking about, like, I'm saying Jameis Winston can't be playing this good for this long. We can say the same thing about Marcus Peters. Like, this dude, I think, is PFF's number 3 overall cornerback right now. It has been too long since we've seen Marcus Peters jump a slant that is not a slant and his receiver run the end zone.
That's fair. I must say, because whether the cornerback matchup is not good for Beckham or not, like, doesn't matter at this point. Like, I think
his quarterback's not
this
playing well.
year's
13 targets.
this year's version of Beckham is just kind of what we're going to get this year.
I didn't know air yards count as points.
Hey, I mean,
It leads to points. Calm down.
But hasn't yet for
Don't
Odell.
insult air yards.
if we were talking about OBJ versus guys that didn't have Haskins at QB and then didn't have a hurt Dak playing quarterback, maybe, but I think I'm still going with Beckham there.
Gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Everyone out there, start Mike Boone. That's your advice
There are
for this
so
Week 16
many
show.
celebrations or tears that are going to happen Monday night on the back of someone that no one knows what he looks like.
By the way, everyone out there, also go and subscribe to the Rotoworld Football Podcast. We'll have a recap edition of every game from this weekend in time for your Monday morning commute. Again, that's the Rotoworld Football Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, wherever you find it. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, John, for being here this year.
Josh. Yeah, so this is it until our season wrap up, like down the road, right?
Yeah, and thank everyone in the control room as well.
Thank you,
Adam,
Trisha, for miking us up.
Yep.
Thank you, Kennedy, Lions fan. Thank you, Bill and Scott, who aren't here today, but thank you for being involved. Thank you, Chris and Josh.
I wasn't asking you to thank everyone.
I think we need to thank everyone personally, though.
I know.
Thank you, Chris and
Umberto.
Josh, even though I'm late to meetings. Thank you. I appreciate everything you do all year.
Can I thank them?
Yes.
Umberto, Adam, Josh, Chris, everyone else. Thank you.
I echo that.
Appreciate you. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in all year. Appreciate you. Good luck in your championship finals.